It's a monument to the victims of a genocide that's missing from Dutch history books. These photos of young Bosnians now living in the Netherlands at an exhibition in front of the Dutch Ministry of Defense should give a face and a story to the thousands who were killed after Dutch troops handed them over to Serbian forces. Like the father of ALMA MUSTAFIC, who was 14 years old when she was separated from him at a compound guarded by Dutch troops.
What is really painful to me is that until now they say they did not think we were in danger. That's a blunt lie, and that hurts me, maybe even more than the genocide back then.
To create awareness, ALMA has told her story in a podcast made by two young journalists who themselves had no idea of the Srebrenica killings. Researchers say nearly 60% of young Dutch people between 16 and 29 have no idea of what happened in Srebrenica. To change that, young Bosnian women have started this campaign to ask for a permanent monument and to give the genocide a more prominent role in Dutch history books. But 25 years after the largest massacre since World War II, survivors say they are still struggling to be heard. Last year, after a long legal battle, the Dutch Supreme Court found the state partially responsible for the death of hundreds of Bosnian men. To Prime Minister Mark Rutte and the former members of the Dutch battalion, ALMA has this message.
What they should do is to travel to Srebrenica together and pay respect to the victims. Only then they will show that they don't look away anymore. How powerful would that image be? We don't want to continue to put the blame, but we want to be seen and heard.
Former Dutch soldier LIESTBETH BEUKEBOOM was 19 years old during the fall of Srebrenica. She says a collective visit to the graves of the victims could help members of the battalion to deal with their trauma. They have faced accusations of cowardice for their role in the massacre. She also urges the UN and Dutch government to admit that they sent the Dutch troops to an impossible mission.
Ik zou het wel weten als ik premier was.
If I was the Prime Minister, I would be much more open about what happened. Just admit it. A lot would change after this. But in the Netherlands, it is so difficult to self-reflect. I know other soldiers are still struggling with this, but I never had the feeling that I could have done more. Maybe now we sometimes wonder what we could have done, but at that time we were totally overwhelmed. It was total chaos.
Totale chaos.
Through the events in Srebrenica, people in the Netherlands and in Bosnia are forever connected.
Only with that shared responsibility we can together prevent that a genocide ever happens again on the European continent, just like we promised after the Second World War.
A shared history that needs to be remembered together to make the dark chapter of Srebrenica more bearable for everyone who suffered. Vaessen, Al Jazeera, The Hague.